Boleh tak semua orang mute? Sebab saya dengar ada bunyi ni. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon everyone. Apa khabar semua? Apa khabar orang Malaysia,
Baik, Dr.
orang Johor, orang Melaka? Okay, it seems that the COVID situation... Apa dia? Sorry? Yeah, Wenyan, how are you?
Hi, Doctor.
Hi. Okay.
Doktor,
Yes.
Intan kata internet dia problem. Dia tengah restart wifi dulu. Kalau boleh masuk, dia masuk.
Saya rasa mungkin dia kot yang tadi bunyi bising.
Dia belum masuk lagi tadi.
Oh, okay. Ada someone aku. I don't know who.
Okay.
Alright, anyway, so apa khabar? Okay, our COVID situation, saya tengok sekarang ni, it doesn't look good, okay? So, because the number is increasing, and then it really worries me because I thought that, as I told last week, masa untuk next week, kita akan ada break. So, I plan to see some of you, okay, face to face, tetapi I need to think twice about it, okay, because I'm not sure whether it's safe or not. Only maybe for those who stay in UTM, yeah, maybe I can see you all, but not those people outside because it's really alarming, okay, because the situation here, and then even the Johor Bahru area is not doing well, okay, because people in Setia Tropika, Kempas area, Uda. So really need to be careful, okay? So maybe we need to postpone our face-to-face meeting. But then I will see how we can actually manage to see everybody, especially the group leaders, in order to discuss how we can actually do our project, okay? So meanwhile, okay, I really hope that all of us, can pray hard so this COVID situation can really improve. I don't think it will be, it will be set solved in this year or next year. I'm not sure, okay? But just make up, orang kata apa, just pray hard, okay? For a better situation, all right? So let's okay do our chapter 7. Okay, what we are going to discuss today. So this is actually the end, okay, the theoretical framework and also hypothesis development. All these hypotheses actually you need to develop in your chapter 1 after your objective. You need to have a special subsection for it. But the hypothesis, some people, they write it after, they have developed their theoretical framework. Okay, because theoretical framework, yeah, you can do it in chapter 1, but some people, they do it in chapter 2, okay, after they have summarize all their findings in their literature review, they develop their theoretical framework, and also then they develop their conceptual or research framework, okay, at the end of chapter 2. Okay, never mind. So let's discuss, and I will give you some examples of how my students have done this theoretical framework and also conceptual framework. Okay. Right. So this chapter is actually will let us, to discover knowledge, in terms of what is actually important. We already we have done the literature review, and then we also learn how to use the EndNote in order to do the citations and also references. So now we need to move to the next step, okay? From the literature that we have okay, what we should do next, right? So you need to remember whatever, okay, I did explain before, but I'm not sure, but I just repeat, okay, again, for your chapter 2, what you need to discuss in your chapter 2. So there are actually three main things, yeah? So the first one, okay, let me write it. Okay, in your chapter 2, basically, okay, chapter 2. So, one, you need to write the definition, right? When I say the definition is going to be clearer compared to chapter 1. So, in chapter 1, you also need to write something about your definition, okay, in chapter 1. So, we have what we call it as conceptual definition. And then we have operational definition. Okay, this one in chapter 1. Okay. So, but in chapter 2, the definition will be more detailed concept compared to chapter 1. So actually this one you bring it to here in your chapter 2, the definition. So what you are going to define in your chapter 2 is only the operational definition. Okay, don't worry. I will explain what is the difference between conceptual definition and operational definition. But if I forget, please remind me at the end of our lecture today, right? Because now I'm focusing on chapter 2. Right, so the definition, and then you need also to explain about the concept of your variables. Okay? Yeah, I can say concepts of your variables. And then you need to discuss also theories related to the concept and also the models related to the concept. Okay. So these are the three things that actually you need to explain in your chapter 2. So the definition of each, the definition, concept, theory, and model for every single of your variable need to be explained in your chapter 2. Okay, so that's the reason we need to refer to other people's work. Okay. So that's the reason we need to do a lot of citation and also references in chapter 2. Okay, so theories. What are the theories? Theories are well-established statements of principles that are documented as a result of repeated observations and testing. So people have done it many, many times about, for example, about a benefit, okay? About benefits. So people have talking about it many, many times about employee benefit. What are they, for example, okay? So then they make a conclusion and then they develop a theory from what they have concluded, right? So that's what we call it as theories. And then from the theory, so we need to develop something that we call it as theoretical framework. Okay, so the theoretical framework is actually, as we have discussed before, actually you have done a bit, okay, just a beginning of your framework where you have a flow chart. Okay, so I will explain later how it looks like and so on. So a framework is a model or schematic diagram. So it is a graphical presentation of complex interrelated ideas. So this one, how does actually you want to present to people? It is based on your own creativity, okay, your creativity. So it shouldn't be, like some people maybe use, instead of they use boxes, they use something else and so on, right? In academic research and writing, the framework facilitates the researcher in capturing all aspects of interest in a single canvas. So it means that whatever in your framework, in your diagram, you need to show all aspects of your interest. So whatever it included your variables, for examples, and then it also includes your theories, okay? Your theories, and then also your hypotheses, and the most important thing, your sources. Where do you get the theories from and the idea from? Okay. So there are two kinds of framework used in academic research. So the first one, we call it as theoretical framework. Okay. So it all based on the theory that you have searched in your chapter 2. And the last one, after that, we will conclude or we summarize everything that we have found in chapter 2 in something that we call it as conceptual framework, or sometimes people call it as research framework. Okay? So most of the time we call it as a research framework. So a theoretical framework is developed based on an underpinning theory that can be applied to research and your investigation, right? So this is example of your theoretical framework. So usually, some people show this one in your chapter 1 because it just like what do they expect they will get from the study. Okay. So for example, okay, but some people also show it in chapter 2, right? So for example, you want to study about reward can actually influence the employee performance. So you know that the theory that you need to find is on reward, the first one, and the theory on the employee performance, right? So then after you do some literature search, okay, and then you found that reward can be represented by monetary and also non-monetary, for example. And then employee performance, okay, can be represented by, okay, output, timeliness, all right, and then quality, right? So these three things, okay. But then you need to search more, okay, on the theory and so on, in order for you to complete your study, right? So this one is only based on the theory. Okay, so your study only, like doing this, right? And then you need to also maybe this is the whole thing actually sometimes can be called as model, right? So for example, reward, this monetary and non-monetary, where do you get the source from? Okay. And then same thing as for the employee performance. So you need to actually tell exactly, okay, where do you get all this information from? So this one we call it as references. Okay, here is a references. It's not you, what should I say, you need to really tell, cite, or you need to refer us to actually the author who actually suggested these theories on reward and also employee performance. Okay, any question? Kalau ada apa-apa nak tanya, please don't hesitate to ask me. Don't just keep quiet, pretending that you understand, but actually you don't. Okay? And then the next one, we have a conceptual framework, or sometimes we call it as a research framework. And it is constructed when the theoretical framework is already available. Okay, you know what actually you want to do. Okay, so this research framework is more detailed. Okay, and then it represents your own work. Okay, so this is yours. The previous one is actually for you to get an idea to do this research framework. A conceptual framework is a model that extracts a variable from various other models or framework that puts them together in a clear and coherent structure. So for example, I give you an example. This is the theory that you found, okay? But in your study, in your research framework, you don't want to do both. You don't want to do monetary and monetary, both of them. But you are going to focus only on the monetary dimension, perspective. So therefore, when you come to this part right here, for example, okay, for the conceptual research framework, you are only do for the monetary perspective. Okay, so you're not going to do all of them. So that's the reason, as I said, this is your own research framework. Okay, and then you need to understand, okay, which one is actually your independent variable, dependent variable. So this one is contains more detail of your own work. Okay, and then sources, for example, instead of you have many, because on the monetary there are many people talking about it, so you have more sources for this one. Okay, and then for the employee, for example, so maybe you just concentrate on these two, the output and quality. Okay, so this one is only the output and then quality, right? For example. So you're not taking the whole thing, but you only take just a few variables from the theory that you have found. Okay, paham tak? Okay, let me ask whether the people here really paham what we have talked about. Danish. Hi, Danish.
Hi, Doctor.
Hi, how are you?
Sihat.
Makan apa hari ni? Masak apa hari ni?
Tak masak.
Okay, so all right. So Danish, do you understand the difference between theoretical framework and conceptual framework? Faham tak agak-agak?
Yeah.
Okay, what can you tell
Okay.
about the differences?
Theoretical is more to that's not proof yet, and conceptual also is like okay, I'm thinking on it.
Jenuh tu nak menjawab tu. Okay, what do you think? Okay, okay, just give whatever your opinion. Never mind. Okay ke tak okay?
Doktor,
Okay.
saya nak bantu Danish boleh?
Boleh sangat-sangat,
thank you.
my dear Intan.
Kalau yang theoretical tu macam idea je dulu. Tapi kalau yang conceptual tu more details on apa yang kita nak buat.
Okay, betul. Exactly, Intan. Thank you, Intan.
Yeah, true. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, tiba-tiba Danish cakap true Okay, yeah. I think you understand, but you don't know. Sometimes it's hard for you to explain. Right. The concept, the theoretical is only based on the theory. Okay. So it's not yours. It's not really yours. Okay. But when it comes to research framework or the conceptual framework, that one is belong to you. Okay. This one is yours. Right. So what actually you want to study is you need to show it using your own research framework. The theory is only theory. What you can get from your literature review. That one is the theoretical framework. Faham tak, Cindo? Cindo, are you here?
Yes, Doktor.
Faham kah?
Faham, Doktor.
Yelah tu, apa yang you faham, Cindo? Explain.
Kalau
Research framework apa? What is a research framework?
apa Doktor?
Apa itu research framework? What is a research framework?
Research that we only focus that what we want to focus.
Okay, so that one is ours. Okay, kita punya our own framework. Okay, all right. Thank you, Cindo. Right, so let's move on to the next one. So that's the reason later. Okay, I will show you some examples of my student how they develop their research framework. Okay. And then the next one, variables. Okay, you have heard this variable since when you studied statistics. Okay, and then as I said, variables mean it is okay come from the word variable, right? So it is able to vary. Okay, so it doesn't fix at one value using one value. So it can be any value. It depends on our respondents. Okay, so that's what we call it as variable. What are the example of variables? Can you give any variables? Contoh Syamimi, Mimi.
Hello, Doctor. Price boleh? Price.
Yes, Mimi, price. So because price can be different prices, okay? It can be RM1, RM2, RM3, and so on. Okay. Okay. What else? Okay. One more. Sabah. Can you give me one example of variable?
Maybe the exam score of students.
Yes. Exam score certainly because different student will have different score, right? Thank you. Okay. So and then this variable can be measured. Okay. When I say, okay, I don't want you people to be confused. Okay. So it can be measured. Actually, there are two types of variables. Okay. So the first one, we call it as quantitative. Okay. Okay. I don't really follow this book and this slide. Okay. And then we also have qualitative variable. Okay. Qualitative. Right. So one is actually quantitative variable. Anything that use numbers, numeric, okay? But qualitative is non-numeric variable. So for example, we have quantitative like just now, price, and then exam score, right? So those are quantitative because they need numbers, right? And then for qualitative, for example, we have ethnic, and then we have major, okay, in their study, your study major, for example, accounting, and then management, and so on. All right. So some variables actually can be written, okay, for the quantitative, it can be written in discrete or continuous values, right? So discrete, it means there is no decimal and also proportion ratio. Okay, so it must be whole number. So for example, we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so and then continuous will allow decimal number. So for example, the price is 10 ringgit 50 cent. Okay, for example. So in this case, usually for the discrete, we use especially for number of people, number of country, you know. So we have how many people in this class? So we have like 56 people. We don't say 56.3 people. There's no such thing. Okay. So you need to really understand what does it mean with discrete and continuous number. Okay. So and then it says here, I don't want this one a bit confusing for especially my student, right? So it says that there are two types of discrete values, okay? Nominal and ordinal. So what does it mean? Actually, this one is qualitative, okay? So qualitative, we usually, for example, we use gender, right? The easiest is gender. So we have, for example, female and male, right? So, and then usually in SPSS, we use number, discrete number to represent this category. So, for example, 1 for female and 2 for male. So, the number here is actually they use discrete number to represent this qualitative variable. Okay, so we seldom use 1.0, 2.0. No, usually we just use discrete number. Okay, so the same thing as you can see for the Likert scale. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, from bad until excellent, for example, right? So all this number, as you can see, we use discrete number, but the the property of this number is actually not quantitative. It is just being used to represent qualitative data or variable. Understand? Okay. And then it says a variable measured as continuous value indicate that the variable, if we have continuous variable, right, automatically it's going to be quantitative variable or data. Okay. So they will use either interval or ratio. Okay. So in SPSS, we use this interval as for to represent quantitative data. Okay, and then it says variables are used in theoretical framework and also conceptual framework. So you need to understand the property, the characteristics, how actually we want to write our variables, especially when describing our study or our research. Okay, and then the next one is something that we call it as construct. Okay. So what is actually a construct? A construct is actually come from no. So I should put this way. Okay, I have construct. And then from construct I get variable. And then from variable, okay, I can get items. When I say items, is the questionnaire, the questions in a questionnaire. Okay, so that's the reason it says that variables are derived from construct. Construct are ideas that are abstract in nature, which are used to understand our theories. Okay, the construct are converted to variable in order to make them measurable. Okay, when I say measurable, so it can be discrete, continuous, nominal, or ordinal. So those are actually, we call it as variable measurements. Okay, so when you get variable here, so it can be in 4 different forms. So it can be discrete. Okay, so it can be continuous, or it can be nominal, or it can be ordinal, right? So for construct, it cannot be measured. But when we already convert construct to variables, then we can measure it. Okay. So and then therefore can be seen that constructs help to explain the theories, while variables help to make the construct measurable. So this one is measurable. Okay, is everybody understand? Right, so let's go down. So let me explain apa itu construct. Okay, remember just now we have concept. Okay, in chapter 2 we need to explain the theory. Okay, concept and theories. Okay, in chapter 2, and then we can get construct. Okay, and then how from construct we need to convert it to variables, and from the variables all this we need to how we can develop our question in questionnaire. Okay, so what does it mean? Okay, for example, I want to study about intelligence. Okay, intelligence is something very abstract. I cannot measure actually someone's intelligence. I don't have any device or instrument like scale or whatever to measure someone's intelligence. Okay, I cannot. For example, I put something on your head, and then I know how intelligent you are. No, cannot. Right? Usually, in order to study intelligence and to study and to determine how intelligent someone is, we need to do some measurement. For example, you give a test, you give a psychological test, you give them questions to answer in order to check how intelligent they are, right? So, in order to measure someone's intelligence, I need to have a few things to measure them. For example, I need to check their verbal skills, their logic skills, and their interpersonal skills. Okay, so all these three is actually variables. Okay, so these variables I can measure. Okay, after, for example, I get the score of verbal, score for logic, and score for interpersonal, then I can make some conclusion on someone's intelligence. Okay, so therefore, intelligence is a construct. These three, okay, which I can give, a kind of test to people in order to measure their skills, those are called as variables. Okay, faham tak? Sian. Okay, faham tak?
Rasanya
What is construct and variable?
Sorry, Tata.
Faham tak? Do you understand what is the difference between construct dengan variable?
Rasanya okay lah.
Okay, apa itu construct?
Construct macam variables kan ada dua, macam quantitative dan qualitative.
Ya,
Tapi construct tak ada.
ya, dia tak ada. So we cannot, kita tak boleh define the construct as quanti or quali. Okay, only variables. Okay, so because a construct is very general, very abstract. Okay, Irvina. Okay, terus senyap dan sunyi. Alright, Nani, where are you, Nani? Nani. Pun senyap sunyi. Okay. Lutfi.
Ada dokter.
Nasib baiklah Lutfi jawab. Orang lain semua senyap. Okay, Lutfi. Can you give me one example construct? Something that we want to study but we cannot measure it without using any, maksudnya we need to use a variable in order to study about that construct. Okay, one example is intelligence. Apa lagi yang kita akan panggil construct?
Selain intelligence sih dokter. Saya tak tahu pasti dokter ininya apa. Contohnya, tapi yang saya tahu ini berkaitan dengan behavior lah.
Okay, contohnya apa?
Selain intelligence.
What else selain daripada intelligence? Satu benda okay, yang you nak study tapi dia sangat abstract. You cannot measure it. Okay? Anything? Any idea?
Still got no idea dokter.
Okay, anybody want to share? Maybe Aina?
Doktor,
Yeah.
kalau lesen memandu tu, nak ambil lesen memandu tu.
Okay, for example, kita cakap, what should I say? Okay, lesen mandu tu, dia memang dah ada kaedah kan, right? So maybe what we can say, driving, okay? Okay, I give an example, ya.
Dokter, saya dah ada ide dokter.
Okay, cepat. Okay. Apa dia?
What about motivation? Or
Okay.
maybe anxiety?
Sorry, anxiety, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, yeah, that's a good one, okay. Mira, kita kejap kita guna apa? Lutfi punya ni dulu ya. Contoh. Right, so for example, Lutfi said motivation. Okay, do you have any skill or any instrument that you can actually measure, like something like thermometer, okay? Thermometer is actually an instrument or gadget that you can use to measure temperature, for example, right? So do you have anything, something like that, where you can, a device that you just put to a person, you can measure her or his motivation. Can you? Ada tak? Do you have any kind of device? Ada ke tak?
No.
No kan?
Personality test.
Yes, personality. Wow, dah semua dah keluar. That's a good one. Right. So motivation, in order to study people's motivation, okay, employees' motivation, for example, right? So we need to divide into different variables. So for example, their job satisfaction, okay, right? And then there maybe, for example, do they really like the job? And then how about their leaders? Okay, their leaders, for example, those actually maybe can represent for the employees' motivation. So this one we call it as construct. Okay, and then this one we call it as variables. Okay, where all these variable later we need to develop questions. Okay, item in our questionnaire questions. Okay, so in order for us to give the score for the leaders or their perception in terms of perception, for example, and then at the end we can get we can conclude something about employees' motivation. Okay, the next one, just like Danish just said, is personality. This one is a very good one. Okay, personality is very hard for us to tell someone's personality. Therefore, we need to do different tests, okay? Personality tests in order to measure or to actually determine someone's personality, right? So for example, so personality is also a construct. Okay, faham ke? Alright, so what is the role played by variables? Okay, variable, okay, variable can take on the role of independent or dependent variables, okay? Independent variables are variables that researcher can manipulate or control, okay? So I will tell you later when I show the picture. And dependent variables, okay, usually we have X and then we have Y. So we can see that X depends, or usually Y, different, terbalik. Okay, this one X. So usually we say Y actually depend on X. If X changes, then Y will also change. Okay, because Y depend on X, right? So that's why when we study the regression, remember, so we have B naught plus B1X plus B1X. Okay, so X can change. We can manipulate the X. We can control the X. So Y only depend on whatever changes in X. So this one we call it as dependent variable, and this one we call it as independent variable, right? Okay, dependent variables are variable which the researcher is concerned. So actually the most concerned, for example, just now, motivation. Motivation will be our dependent variable. Okay, and personality will be our dependent variable. What we actually want to study, what we concern most, that one will be our dependent variable. Okay, and then the this dependent variable will be determined by the set of our independent variables. So it can be not just one X, it can be many X. So for example, just now we say that motivation, so this is the X1, this is the X2. So we have many independent variables, right? And then why do we need for a theoretical framework? Because a theoretical framework is very important in a research. This is because the theory actually can provide us and can give us some insight how to actually to view the whole study, right? So especially in terms of selecting our construct and as our variables, okay? So that's why the theoretical framework is very important. So after we already develop our theoretical framework, then we can develop our hypothesis, right? So hypotheses are testable. So the clue word here, it can be tested. So how can we test it? So we need to use statistical tests, right? In order to prove it, whether it can be accepted or rejected, right? So hypothesis, right? So it must be derived from theoretical framework. So for example, just now we know that a reward, okay, it can affect, for example, this one, okay, employee performance. So this is our hypothesis. So we know maybe if a reward increasing, and then the employee performance also will increase, right? So this one is called as hypothesis. Right. Okay, and then hypothesis statement are written in pairs. Okay, so we have null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Okay, so and then the exact opposite of the statement is written as null hypothesis. So I will explain what hypothesis is. All right. So hypothesis is this one is singular. So if we have many hypotheses, we call it as hypothesis, right? This one will be plural, right? So a hypothesis should always explain what you expect. Hypothesis is our claim, right? Our dakwaan, what's going to happen. But we don't know whether it's true or not. It's going to be accepted or it's going to be rejected. It all depends on our data analysis from our data that we have collected. So a hypothesis must be clear and understandable, be testable, be measurable, and contain an independent and dependent variable. So in your hypothesis statement, must say what is your independent, what is your dependent variable, and then what are the relationship between them two, right? Right, so Malini, are you here, Malini?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, how are you?
I'm fine.
Okay, so you faham ke apa yang saya cakap?
Faham, doctor.
Okay, good. Thank you. Right. So hypothesis. Okay, anyone ada soalan? Please just throw your question. Don't shy. Okay. Right. Now hypothesis we write it as HO. Right. So null is 0. Hypothesis. Okay. Alternative hypothesis HA. So HA, some books use as H1 because 0, 1, right? But I prefer my students to use HA. So it says that in the hypothesis testing, the HO will be tested, not HA. So HO, saya dah explain before, is hypothesis orang, or you can say hypothesis others, right? HA is hypothesis aku. This is my hypothesis. So in our chapter 4, okay, we need to test hypothesis other people, not hypothesis aku, all right? Not our hypothesis. So this is also called as researcher hypothesis, right? Okay. So this is what happened, right? So for example, H null, so we have the mean is equal to 0. So usually what does it mean for H naught, right? Or H null? So we want to show there is no effect, okay? There is no effect, no difference, no change. That's H null or H naught, okay? Whereas for the hypothesis, the researcher's hypothesis, we want to show there is an effect. So therefore, we use the symbol not equal, greater than, or less than, right? So for the null hypothesis, usually we just put equal sign. So there is no difference. Okay. Okay, Okay, I hope my students they can remember this question. I really hope that. Okay, so for example, we have this one, right? This question right here. So we want to write the null and alternative hypothesis using the following example. So to test if the mean, okay, the clue word here is the mean salary. Okay, the mean salary of the part-time workers in a fast food restaurant is different. Okay, different from 14 ringgit. So how can we write it? So the null hypothesis will be, okay, the mean salary is equal to 14 ringgit, right? So HA, the mean salary is not equal because the word different not equal 14 ringgit. So it means that this one, the first one, the null hypothesis, it shows there is no difference. Okay, it's just the same, right? But HA will show a difference. Okay. Any question?
No,
Mangga?
Doctor.
Okay, Mangga, mana Mangga?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, faham tak Mangga?
Faham, Doctor.
Okay, jangan tidur ya.
Tak tidur, Doctor.
Okay, I give you an example, another example. Okay, there is no relationship. Remember our purpose for the null hypothesis, no effect, no different, nothing, right? So we need to spell out, okay, this one in our null hypothesis, there is no relationship. So what I can say, the relationship is equal to 0. R is a relationship. There is a relationship between price and buyer intention. So we know there is a relationship. So the relationship is not equal to 0 because there is a relationship, right? So this is another example. So we have the average. For example, this one I should put it this way: H naught HA. Okay. So H naught, the mean IQ score is equal to 100. And this one, so HA, the mean score, okay, average is mean, is greater than 100 because exceed. So this is the way how you write your hypothesis, right? Okay, framework and hypothesis. This is how it looks like. Okay, can somebody tell me which one is our construct in our framework here? Which one is the construct? Kuhan.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, which one is construct in this slide?
Job satisfaction.
Yes.
Yes. That's a construct then.
Sorry?
Job satisfaction is a construct.
Job satisfaction?
It's a construct. It's
Yeah.
a construct.
Yeah, this is a construct. Okay. All right. Why do you call it as construct? Okay. Why job satisfaction? Never mind, Kuhan. I'm going to ask somebody else. Okay, Hanif. Hanif, kenapa job satisfaction is a construct?
Just certification construct.
Okay, life satisfaction for
Okay.
construct. Kenapa? Why this job satisfaction we consider it as construct?
Okay. Like motivation, Doctor.
Huh?
Okay. In like example that one, motivation have a job description.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a questionnaire to the motivation camp.
Okay, macam ni. Because, alright, as you can see, job satisfaction can be measured by remuneration, quality of life, promotion, supervision, and teamwork. So all these actually are called as variables. Okay. So then we need to do all the questions in order, or the test, whatever, in order to measure remuneration, for example, because it can represent for job satisfaction. Again, the same thing as I said, life satisfaction. So it all depends on this one because this one dependent variable. So actually our main construct is this one, the life satisfaction. Okay. So we want to study about life satisfaction. It depends on job satisfaction. But job satisfaction is actually represented by many dimensions. Okay. Sometimes we call this part also as dimensions, right? Or some people call it as factors, this variable. Okay. Understand? All right. So this is how it looks like for what we call it as research framework. And then your hypothesis will be here. So we have hypothesis 1, hypothesis 2. So the main hypothesis is this one. We want to determine the relationship between life satisfaction and job satisfaction. So then we have this one, the second hypothesis, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, and the sixth one, right? So we want to see, is there any relationship between remuneration and also job satisfaction? So this is how it looks like when you want to draw your research framework, okay? And then also, I'm going to talk briefly about this, okay, about mediation and moderation, because this one is actually more for postgraduate students. But there are some supervisors who are very ambitious. They want their undergraduate students also apply this mediation and moderation variables. Okay, so just in case, okay, this one just a brief one. So mediation is actually okay. First, you have this what should I say? This relationship. Okay, so we know that curiosity can affect, okay, or has a relationship towards learning, right? But this one is not strong enough. Okay, just with curiosity, somebody will, for example, if someone's curiosity increase, their learning process also increase. Okay, but actually, if we put another variable to in between these two, so for example, if curiosity can cause discovery, and discovery can cause better learning, for example, so this one will affect, okay, the relationship between curiosity and learning. Okay, for example. And then, for example, this one is positive. We can have positive effect. Okay, and then curiosity can be affected by distractions. Okay, because of distraction, someone's learning, okay, will decrease. So if this one increase, distraction will decrease. Okay, for example, and this one will cause also learning process decrease. Okay, so sorry, I made a mistake. Mungkin you tak faham. Let me change this one. Okay, sekejap ya. Let me change. Okay, so maybe this one. Okay, I guna yang lain. Okay, there are two things. One we call it as mediation just now. Let me explain again. Mediation. The other one is moderation. Okay, so as I said, the mediation. So it will have a relationship between, this one is your independent and then your dependent variable. Okay, independent. Okay, this one will be, we call it as mediator. So, for example, lecture quality can affect students' engagement in class, for example. And then engagement, because of engagement increase, the learning will be increasing. Okay. And then if the lecture quality good, this one also good, this one also can be good. Okay. So if the lecture quality, for example, not good, students' engagement will go down, and then the learning process will also go down, for example. Okay. So this one, kedudukan. The location of this mediator is between your independent and dependent variable. So That's what it means by mediation. Remember, mediator in between, right? So another variable is called as moderator. Moderator is to give effect whether you want to increase or you want to decrease the relationship between dependent, independent, and dependent variable. Okay, so what we call it as moderate. So moderate. So this one, okay, for example, this one it can, because of we include this one, it can increase or decrease the relationship here, okay, between independent and dependent. So for example, right, this one, okay, exercise, calorie intake, and weight loss, right? So which of these can be mediator? Okay, faham tak? You all tak faham pun. Okay, so for example, exercise can can actually reduce calorie intake, for example. Okay, and then this calorie intake can cause better weight loss. Okay, so this one is actually mediator. Right, gender cannot be mediator because we cannot say exercise can cause gender, cannot change someone's gender. And gender cannot cause weight loss. So this one is not mediator. Understand? So gender maybe can be our moderator. So for example, we have exercise and weight loss, maybe because of the gender, but it's discrimination, okay? For example, we can say if male, okay, the exercise and weight loss can the relationship can be increased or decreased. So actually gender also not a good example, okay, for this one. Right, anyway, so that's I don't want to talk much on this moderator and mediator. So just in case you want to use it, your supervisor asks you to use this moderator and mediator variable. So you can ask more information from your supervisor or anyone, any researcher who always apply this kind of approach, moderator and mediator approach. You can ask them, right, for advice. Okay, any question before we say goodbye for today? Yuman, are you here? Ada tak? Saya macam tak nampak je Yuman hari ni. Iza? Are you here, Iza? Iza, anyone? Okay. All right, Iza. Can you just summarize what we have, okay, what we have learned today? Just give me the keywords. Okay, what we have learned today. One. Iza? Hilang dah? Okay, so Shikin. Kasih satu benda yang kita dah belajar hari ni, Shikin. Can you tell me just one keyword? What tak ada?
Chicken saya ke doktor?
Sorry?
Saya ke?
Boleh lah, siapa-siapa. Okay, yeah, Shikin Diana. Okay. Give me one word, one keyword you have learned today.
Conceptual framework.
Okay, alright. Very good. Okay, next one. Habibi. Okay, apa lagi? Conceptual framework. Apa lagi kita dah belajar?
Conceptual framework kebanyakannya macam general. Research framework tu macam kita gunakan variable dan juga kontras.
Okay.
Betul tak?
So we have learned conceptual theoretical framework, conceptual framework. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Wenjin. Wenjin?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, what we have learned, give me one keyword. Satu je. Apa yang kita dah belajar? We have learned conceptual framework. Okay?
Theoretical framework.
Yeah, theoretical framework. What else? That one is already mentioned by your friends.
Research.
Research. Memang kita belajar research. Okay. What else? Okay, apa yang kita dah belajar hari ni? Okay, yoga. Yoga?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, give me one word. What we have learned today.
Variables, independent variable, dependent variables.
Yeah, okay, very good. Variables. So we have independent and the independent variable. Okay, one last one. Arfan.
Betul.
Okay, apa yang kita dah belajar? Ha?
Dia dengar.
Boleh. Very clear.
Yang teruk.
Apa dia?
Lain-lain tak elok.
Okay, tak apa. Just say one word that we have learned today.
Construct ada.
Yes, very good. Okay. All right, people, what we have learned today, conceptual framework, theoretical framework, conceptual framework. We also learned the variables, okay? So we have variable, so independent and dependent variables, and also construct. Okay, so that's, and also moderator and mediator. Okay, that's what we have learned today. And also the most important, how to develop a research framework at the end of the day in your chapter 2, right? So don't forget on Thursday, all right? On Thursday, you need to present your methodology framework. I call it that one. Your methodology, how you want to achieve your research objective. Okay, so I will see you again, inshallah, on Thursday, right? So before that, okay, I will share you the attendance, right? Alamak. Alamak, macam mana pula saya punya ni. I'm so sorry, people. Tak jumpa pula. Dah ke? Macam dah je. Cakap macam dah dapat buka. Okay. Got it. All right. Here you go. Check section 2 first. Okay, siapa dah scan your attendance? Okay, you can leave our meeting today.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, sure, bye.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Sama-sama.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Welcome. Okay, so I want to share section 1. Okay, so I already deactivate this one.
Thank you, Doctor.
Welcome, bye-bye.
Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Thank you, Doctor. Assalamualaikum.
Hey,
Thank you, Doctor.
okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, sure.